All right, Penn State fans, so here's the question. Will this team not only be the greatest team in Penn State history, but will this team be the greatest wrestling team in all of college wrestling history? There are 3 criteria that I think should be considered when questioning whether a team is the greatest of all time. Number 1, 10 All-Americans. Now, getting 10 All-Americans wouldn't automatically make you the greatest team of all time, but it is very difficult. In fact, only one team has ever done it. The 2001 Minnesota Gophers. So if Penn State can get 10 All-Americans and 5 national champs and get pretty darn close to that scoring record, I think there's a legit argument there that they would be the greatest team of all time. And the second criteria is 6 national champs. There have been a few teams that have gotten 5 national champs, Penn State included, but no team has ever gotten 6. So again, if Penn State gets 6 national champs, but they don't beat the scoring record, I think they should be in consideration for being the greatest team of all time. And the third criteria, the most obvious, is if Penn State can beat the scoring record set by the 1997 Iowa Hawkeyes at 170 points. And if they beat the scoring record, there is no question, without a doubt, they will be considered the greatest college wrestling team of all time. And I'm going to give you a bonus criteria. Well, it's not really a criteria to be the greatest team of all time, but if Penn State can get 2 4-time national champs in the same year as getting 6 national champs or beating the team scoring record, that is going to be a season for the ages. Now, before we answer those 3 questions and whether they are a reality or not, let's go through the lineup here to help paint the picture. But before we do that, let me remind you, hit the subscribe button if you're enjoying this content and you want me to keep making more videos. 125 pounds, we have Robbie Howard. Robbie Howard had a very promising true freshman year in 2021. And if he doesn't get injured and he has a couple more seasons under his belt and he's a junior now, I think there's a very high likelihood he's probably on the podium. But the concern here is obviously the injury. We really haven't been able to see him wrestle all that much in the past 2 years. So what are we going to get? Well, we'll have to find out in those first few matches. 133 pounds, we have Aaron Nagao. Now, I know there's been rumors that he could be injured and even injured for the season, but nothing's been confirmed. So at this point, I'm going to assume he's wrestling this year. If Aaron Nagao can develop a little bit more on his feet, he is going to be deadly. So one thing to note here is I think the 3-point takedown could potentially hurt Aaron Nagao here due to his style. If he wrestles and he gets taken down and he's losing 3-1 at the end of the first period, no one's going to take bottom on him. At 141 pounds, no surprise here, we're going to see Bo Bartlett place 3rd last year. And with Samuel Lirez taking his Olympic red shirt, I'm not sure anyone in this weight class other than Real Woods and Brock Hardy can beat Bo Bartlett. At 149 pounds, Shane Van Ness. And Shane Van Ness had somewhat of a weird regular season. He always looked like he had the potential, but he never got that top 10 win. And he kind of had somewhat of a weird postseason. He was losing 8 points, 6 points, dead in the water, and he would find a way to come back and win, ultimately placing 3rd at the national tournament. I think Shane Van Ness could be a sleeping giant. If he develops a little bit more offense on his feet, it may be game over for the rest of the field at 149 pounds. All right, so 157 pounds and 165 pounds. Well, let's consider these both at the same time. You have 3 guys for 2 spots. Levi Haynes, Alex Facundo, and transfer Mitchell Messenbrink. But all 3 have some sort of a red shirt, whether it be a traditional red shirt or an Olympic red shirt. Levi Haynes is the favorite this year at 157 pounds and will start out the season ranked number 1. And Alex Facundo went 0-2 last year at the national tournament. But let's be honest, Alex Facundo is not an 0-2 guy. He just had a tough early loss and then ran into Julian Ramirez on the backside. I personally think their best lineup is to start Mitchell Messenbrink at 157 pounds and bump Levi Haynes to 165 pounds and have Alex Facundo redshirt in preparation to start at 174 pounds next year after Carter Starace graduates and moves on. But don't be surprised if they run it back with Levi Haynes at 157 pounds and Alex Facundo at 165 pounds and convince Carter to come back and wrestle 174 next year, redshirt Levi Haynes, and slide in Mitchell Messenbrink at 157 pounds. But this year, 174 pounds, you have Carter Starace going for his 4th national title. At 184 pounds, you have transfer Bernie Truax. In my opinion, the national champ at the end of the season is either going to be Parker Keckeisen or Bernie Truax. I don't think any other guy in this weight class is going to be able to touch those two guys. 197 pounds, you have Aaron Brooks bumping up from 184. Again, just like Carter, going for his 4th national championship. And at 285 pounds, you have Greg Kurtvliet, who I think Wyatt Hendrickson may be the only guy that can beat him. The only other guy that I think has a chance is maybe Colton Schultz due to his size and if he can return to who he was in the 2022 season. All right, so now that we have the lineup clear, let's go ahead and talk about the question everyone's thinking about. Where did I get this shirt from? Thanks for asking. AlphaWrestlingStore.com. You can go to the website or you can check it out in my merch shelf below. All right, so let's get to the real question everyone's thinking about. Can this be the greatest team of all time? Well, let's consider those criteria. Number 1, can they get 10 All-Americans? Probably not. If Aaron Nagau's injured and he's out, game over, it's not going to happen. But even if he is wrestled, I think it's going to be pretty tough for Robbie Howard to land on the podium this year. Or at least we don't have any information to make that prediction at this point. And if they run it back with Alex Facundo, while I do think he's capable of making the podium, 165 pounds is still a pretty darn deep weight class. And in my opinion, I think if they wrestle the tournament 10 times, I think Alex probably ends up on the podium 3 times. If they do end up going with Mitchell Messenbrink or Levi Haynes in the 157 pound, 165 pound spots, I think both of those in either weight class end up on the podium. All right, so now this is where it gets interesting. Number 2, 6 national champs. Let me just list these names for you guys. You have Bo Bartlett, Shane Van Ness, Levi Haynes, Carter Starace, Bernie Truax, Aaron Brooks, and Greg Kurtvliet. If any of those 7 guys win a national title, are you really that surprised? And the answer is probably not. But as of right now, Bo Bartlett, Shane Van Ness, and Bernie Truax are not favored to win. They're going to have to go through guys like Real Woods, Austin Gomez, Ridge Lovett, Parker Keckeisen, and even Greg Kurtvliet's going to have to beat Wyatt Hendrickson and Colton Schultz. So it's probably not likely that they get 6 national champs. I wouldn't bet on it, but you can see there is a very real path to get there. All right, number 1, and in my opinion, this is the most likely, getting more than 170 points. And the main reason that I think this is the most likely scenario is because of the 3-point takedown. Major decisions and tech falls are going to become a lot more frequent with a 3-point takedown. And in order to beat this scoring record, Penn State is going to need a lot of bonus points. Here's a quick look at if Penn State were to get 7 finalists and 5 national champs, they're still going to need a lot of bonus points to get to 170. Last year, they got 16 bonus points. This year, they're going to need probably north of 25 bonus points to get close to this record. So while none of these are necessarily likely, this is the closest a team has been in a long time. So if Penn State gets 6 national champs or beats the scoring record, and on top of that gets 2 4-time national champs in one season, I think they will officially be the greatest team of all time. If you like this video, check out this video I did on Mitchell Messenbrink and about what I think his future could look like. And oh yeah, don't forget, subscribe.